Kongres Współpracy Transgranicznej Lublin 2022. Bezpieczeństwo i solidarność. Coroczne spotkanie praktyków współpracy transgranicznej z Unii Europejskiej i Partnerstwa Wschodniego. 3 dni paneli, spotkań i debat liderów samorządowych, organizacji pozarządowych i ekspertów z całej Europy. Forum partnerów. Giełda grantodawców. Wizyty studyjne, warsztaty, koncerty i spektakle. Na żywo i online. Lublin, 5-7 października 2022. Zarejestruj się bezpłatnie na stronie kongres.lublin.eu.
No właśnie, witam ponownie. Kongres Współpracy Transgranicznej to spotkanie praktyków.
Hello and welcome again at this Congress, the meeting of practitioners that make decisions every day on the operation, on the functioning of their cities. Today we'll be talking about public transport. We've got Grzegorz Malec, Director of the Public Transport Authority in Lublin. We are grateful to him for ensuring this works so well in this city. Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you very much for this appreciation of myself in the operation of the transport system. I would like to welcome all those interested in transport the matters, also those attending online. We've got live stream of this event, but in particular I would like to welcome the speakers, experts that will be talking about transport today, about ticketing, the tariffs, the new forms of the payments. We've got eminent experts in the field. Let me start with...
Właśnie teraz już nie wiem, bo jest spór, czy Warszawa... Kto ważniejszy, kto większy, kto ma więcej autobusów.
There's some debate whether Katowice or Warsaw is the bigger one in terms of the size of the public transport. Wrocław, Paulina, Tyniec-Piszcz, Director of the Transport Department, Wrocław City Hall.
Warszawa,
Małgorzata, Katarzyna Strzegowska, Director of the Warsaw Public Transport Authority, and
Portu Metropolitalnego z siedzibą w Katowicach, to jest ta...
Director of the Metropolitan Transport Authority in Katowice, that is the Silesian, the region metropolis, Małgorzata Gutowska.
Są również z nami.
Also, we've got with us online, if we can hear each other, our foreign guests. Let me welcome Horeni, Verkehrsverbund Oberelbe from Dresden, Germany. He'll be talking about the cross-border cooperation between the Czech Republic and Germany. Hello. And Marcel Czarnecki from Magdeburger Marego. He'll be talking about the transport associations in Germany.
Tak jak powiedziałem, panel będzie...
As I said before, this panel discussion focuses on the advanced solutions, especially the ticketing tariffs and the forms of payments. I would suggest that each of the speakers has some 10 minutes presentation of their solutions, their technologies, and any new or novel things that they have introduced or are introducing to the public transport systems. After that, we'll have an exchange of their views and Q&A session. But as moderator here, let me also present our Lublin system for the ticketing. It's called Lubica. Lubica is a 1 year old just now, so it's a good time to give you some summaries. And please let's have the ZM Lublin presentation on the screen.
Także jak powiedziałem, Lublin.
As I said, it's a one-year-old baby.
Nazwa, plan.
It's a good name.
Widzicie. No i zaczynamy.
All right, so let's start. The carriers or the media. We are using a mobile application and traditional ticketing cards. The difference versus the old system is about the identification. So it's based on accounts, user accounts. So any user key can be used to access it. This is adapted for to operate in Google Play and App Store. There's iOS and Google's Android. So mobile phones can be used for that person. Now, temporary one-stop and periodic tickets can be bought via the application. It's yet another segment of the tickets that has just been introduced in Lublin. That is one-stop buildings, all supported by the app. The electronic wallet is yet another solution that we have put in place.
Który postawiliśmy tutaj razem z
We have extended
też był wcześniej w Lublinie, ale już jakby teraz przejęliśmy go na
the functionalities with yet another module. Now we own this. It's a passengers portal, the website with
który pomaga zarówno w poruszaniu
itineraries, the planners, schedulers of travel, so everyone can adapt the travel needs or ticketing segments as they wish. So there's also a calculator for the periodic ticket price with the option to select a number of days as needed, as required. Plus the know-how tab, that is frequently asked questions, knowledge base concerning the entire system. Then there's a track record of transactions, the online applications module, as is clear from the pandemic time, and this is what we are highlighting in our information campaign. The mobile apps is the channel for us to contact our passengers and provide the functionalities for the ticketing, payments, and so on. Web-based store is a central contact point with the passenger portal, the ticketing, the payment functionalities. So no queuing, no coding required from the passengers, unlike the old system that we had operated on the outsourcing basis. Perhaps we'll have a chance to discuss the background of those solutions that are used across Poland. We actually abandoned the outsourcing based the solution. We own the system now. The electronic wallet,
taryfa przystankowa.
One-stop tariff. As I said, it's a new segment in the ticketing system. It's available from the level of the mobile application. It's a digressive tariff, as it's called. The longer trip you do, the less you pay. It has been proved very effective last year. I will give you some summary later on Lublin experience in this regard.
Technicznych to się odbywa rejestracja podróży.
Just technically speaking, the trip is registered in the app with QR code scanned, the QR code placed on the bus itself, and that's it. Checkout at the end of the trip. The selection of the bus stop, from the list, and the payment is calculated automatically.
To są kasowniki.
EMV cashiers.
Kasownik zazwyczaj.
Each bus, each vehicle has its own the terminal at. At the central part.
On u nas ma zresztą jak
in Lublin, just like in other ticketing segments, it has a separate pricing system. It was designed to replace the sales of tickets by the drivers. Perhaps it's true. It's more expensive. It's dedicated to the passengers, occasional passengers, or those who have forgotten or don't have time to look around for the cheaper the options.
Nic nie drukuje, nic nie...
Nothing printed, nothing downloaded. It's just pay as you go with token verification.
Funkcja też w statystykach.
It's a very useful functionality, and I'll summarize this in the statistics as well.
Użytkowanie tego segmentu biletu. Ale system Lubika to nie tylko software.
Lubica system, it's not only software, it's also
twardy sprzęt. 50.
It's also hardware.
Mieliśmy 3 firmy.
Fixed ticket vending machines.
30. Była to nasza własność.
Well, it used to be outsourced. We paid commission to the operator before, so the experts could tell you more about that system. So 50 vending machines, 50 terminals for electronic tickets, and several dozens of sales points of paper tickets. 400 EMV, the terminal, the art vehicles, and other components, hardware components of the Lubica the system, all based on the mobile application.
Ta nasza aplikacja współpracuje.
The app is
w Polsce
supports all the major operators services in Poland for the remote ticketing, Mobilet, Jak dojadę service, a big player, and others as well.
No i statystyki, tak jak powiedziałem.
Statistics. 1 year is just behind us. September and October, the student, Lublin is a student and university center, so a lot of the students is half mid-September data. The figures will be much higher. Just now, students just are getting registered at this very moment. Estimates show that the volume, passenger volume in Lublin is 150,000 people. Of course, we must be cautious about these the figures. Due to the pandemic, the very paradigm of social operation has changed. With remote work from home, study from home. So the public transport, needs to adapt, and there are some shifts in it as there. The point is that we have 150,000 people registered, with unique use cases, also the growing. Approximately 250,000 transactions registered via the app. The digressive the tariff has registered more than 500,000 unique uses. So over the 12-month period, it's really high. The EMV terminals registered more than 80,000 transactions. Nearly 22% of all tickets, the periodic tickets, bought via the app. More than 64 transactions in the fixed or stationary the ticket machines, and 56 in the terminals. 10% of all sales via the mobile app is through the Lubica application. That is, our proprietary the application. So this is a big share among the nationwide operators. In Lublin, let me just boast about this. Lubica has proved successful, a really good solution, especially in the pandemic time. Of course, we had some, the startup or ramp up the issues to be solved through some, snagging the process. But what we can see, the electronic channels of transactions for the ticketing are growing, and we are expecting it to be growing in the future. Now we will pass the mic to the experts, perhaps the largest one. So let's resolve this debate. Which city is the largest in terms of public transport? Let's start with the capital city of Warsaw, Katarzyna Strzegowska, to present the Warsaw novel solution.
Panie dyrektorze,
Thank you very much.
Współpraca jest pełna z Lublinem i z miastami.
We are working very well with Lublin and other cities here, but let me present the Warsaw-based solutions. Before I start talking about transactions and the passenger handling the processes, let me give you some the key data.
Metropolitan, Śląska i
just like the Silesian, the metropolises in Warsaw and the agglomeration in the metropolis, we serve nearly 3 million the people with the area served, as you can see on the slide. We had 800 million passengers in 2020, back in 2019 it was 1.2 billion passengers the trip. So it was a record year. We all remember that a record year in terms of the income on ticket sales and so on. But as Grzegorz Malec says, after the pandemic, the public transport is taking off again. The passenger the transport segment is growing, and we do everything we can to encourage people, residents, to use public transport. There are 4 segments of public transport in the Warsaw, including subway, the tramways, and the railways and buses. Of course, these segments differ in terms of the number of vehicles available, the numbers of passengers, transporters, and availability of space, of passenger space. Of course, the subway is the record beater here. Approximately 3 billion zloty. It's the annual spending on public transport with the income on ticketing, on ticket sales. It's approximately 900 million zloty per year. Our target is 1 billion, although due to the pandemic, for the time being, this is quite unfeasible. 75% nearly of the total spending on public transport come from the taxes. But after the pandemic, only 22% is covered by the ticket sales, and 3% covered by municipalities working with us. We are now in talks with neighboring municipalities to increase the co-funding on their part. As the initiatives for the benefit of the passengers, what we are doing at this moment is, first of all, to resolve the congestion in Lublin. Warsaw is a very hard to move around. We also have the student community, a large one, present in Warsaw, starting from the beginning of October, and they tend to use the individual cars, their cars, to move around. So we actually have campaigns to encourage them to use public transport. Well, in terms of in commercial terms, so of course we also do it to ensure as much income as possible from ticket sales. But this is also about the quality of life.
Ja o systemie biletowym, który jest w Warszawie, nie będę.
Ecology, climate friendliness, and so on. Our system is 26 years old. Last year we have the quarter century anniversary. Unfortunately, I cannot boast about the new system deployment. Well, as Lublin has, we are just days before we start the tendering procedure. This is the last stage of the official the agreements and contracting. Then keep your finger crossed that we succeed in doing so. And I'll be talking about this later on, about the problems in all the official procedures, tendering, contracting, and outsourcing, potential outsourcing. We'll be talking about this in detail. There are plenty more initiatives for the benefit of passengers, residents. The pandemic kind of forced some thinking, in the city hall about the remote handling of passengers. We have established the electronic passenger contact point. We set up a mobile application that is our own.
Przez zewnętrznego operatora.
The application without any external operator. But as any other cities in here, we work together or support other operators. We have the 6 standard or nationwide operators working with us at this moment. We are developing a new channel to attract the passengers. This is addressed to employers, MTP business. This is for tickets for employees, for workforce, for them to use public transport to move around the city. In the era of growing inflation, so any the fringe benefits that employers can give to the workforce is a real benefit really for them as residents. We started back in March the electronic contact point for passengers. We've got 19 fixed or stationary contact points. So this is very popular among residents. We are handling all the requests, all the needs of our passengers, starting from the applications for the city tickets card that has been sent out via post. We are handling the complaints. We have got a contact center via Teams, with the online scheduling of the visits. So it's live video conferencing functionality that is very popular. At the very beginning, we thought that it would be a tool dedicated to the young passengers. It has turned out that the elderly, cope very well in operating the application, and it's very popular among them as well. So we are encouraging passengers to use long-term periodic tickets. That's why we have announced a range of competitions just to boost loyalty and attract new customers of public transport with rewards being extended or prolonged. The tickets, 4 editions have been organized so far. The mobile application I mentioned before, it was developed in cooperation with the city. The whole is the digital, the city ticket card in the smartphone. We don't have the new system that Grzegorz was talking about. So it's it's card-centric, so to say. It's not server-centered, but we are working on this. And we are developing this app. We want to enter into the new segments of public transport ticketing, including the subway. This is a bit difficult. We've got the turnstiles or gates for ticket there, and the passengers need to use them. The WTP business, as I said, is the offer to employers. We are encouraging businesses and talk to businesses, both in Warsaw and based in other cities, which may be interested in having the options given to their employees for travel around the Warsaw. There are a range of benefits for employers, like fuel savings and so on. Also, it's also about parking fees. The savings can be very high, and the zone for the paid parking is growing to the satisfaction of the city hall and residents as well. It's essential that the WTP business is providing savings to businesses. We communicate to them that it's a real bonus for the employees, without any need to give them business cars and so on. So in the difficult times, this is the economy that counts, but also the climate awareness and the general lifestyle of our residents. All these things matter. And how our authority, public transport authority, has been supporting Ukraine. It's not only Warsaw. All the cities across Poland have taken on the challenge, aware of the need to support our guests, our neighbors that were attacked by the Russian Federation. Of course, the information contact points were set up immediately at the railway and bus the stations, and we provided a free of charge transport option for Ukrainians from February to May 2022 across the city, especially the connection points and stops. We had the volunteer centers to support the incomers and
Już zadomowili się w naszym mieście.
Now we are developing the offers for those Ukrainians who have stayed in the city, and we offer the reliefs or discounts just like those available to our residents, Polish residents. The discounts for the youth, for students, and we are also communicating all the changes in the public transport arrangements also in the Ukrainian language. What we are planning? We are developing the electronic passenger contact point with new products and services. We are planning to launch a new edition of competitions. We are developing the app. It wouldn't be possible
w naszym mieście i w każdym innym mieście w Polsce bez promocji.
Without the promotional activities, as in any other cities, promotional activities to show off the benefits, potential benefits to passengers. It wouldn't be possible without us growing the sales channels. We've got the mobile ticket machines, and now the structure is shifting towards the mobile applications, the stationary contact points. The share is actually decreasing, and it's obvious that the society, the residents, the community is growing the digital, and they expect new options, new functionalities on the online the channels.
Szczegółowo omawiać.
I won't be going into details of the solutions that are
takim zielonym, podobnym do
present in all the cities. This is just to show you some joint campaign to promote the public transport in Warsaw for health reason, for climate protection reason, and for economic reason. This is a tool that we have developed
przez naszych współpracowników z biura marketingu.
This is the calculator of the cost of travel, just with 4 steps, a quick calculation of the cost, from your home to your school, to university, to the workplace, compared to the trip in your private car, the parking fees, and so on, compared to the periodic the ticket for public transport. It's a simple tool, really, and perhaps it would take developing it a bit more. But the point is to show people that public transport, city transport, is well, environmentally friendly and economical. Educational campaigns, there are a range of these, as is clear from our discussions with transport authorities across the country. Public education is key. We need to show our society the benefits of public transport, of using public transport, starting from kindergartens. So this is what we are doing. What's also essential is safety on public transport. Every one of us, has had some mishaps, in public transport. So we do our best to show our citizens, our residents, that public transport is also safe. Next to the on top of all the other benefits that I mentioned before. This year we organized a competition for the drivers, the best driver of the year. and this competition was very popular. It also showed us how important it is to provide for continuous improvement or the qualification and skills, the improvement of our the drivers, especially at times of shortage of the workforce. And we'll be discussing about the other things in a minute: new technologies, new information, new and sales channels, all the things that are important for our passengers, our residents. It's difficult time, crisis times that we are living in, and which are ahead of us. So we need to ensure kind of continuous process for development, improvement, and exchanging of the views and experiences for mutual support. We'll be talking about this in a moment, but for the time being, thank you very much.
Wiadomo, Warszawa, czy jak niektórzy mówią, tak zwana Warszawka, to wszyscy się patrzą i
Well, Warsaw is Warsaw because everybody is looking at them. They are always in the spotlight. The same with public transport. Everything starts with Warsaw. Others want to copy or perhaps avoid some solutions implemented in Warsaw. So discounts for
Warszawa
students or free tickets for students. This was a pioneer project in Warsaw. Everybody else followed. The same with innovations in buses. So it's the capital city, so we want to copy, of course, what works. In Warsaw, this green color here is not only what we share with you, but trolley buses that started in 1953 in Lublin, and the first trolley bus came from Warsaw.
Systemy trolejbusowe, które
2 trolleybus systems
ze wschodu, bo ta północna
originally imported from the east.
Okupant niemiecki, także to
In Western Poland, traction was installed back before the Second World War. So anyway, we have Ilya Ceban here with us, deputy mayor of Chisinau.
w Lublinie prowadzimy
Hello, Mr. Deputy. In Lublin, we have a shared project, Move Like Lublin. Chisinau chose Lublin as a partner. It's a multi-layered project with many different components,
wdrażane, także jeszcze
and
pana wice.
this is now being implemented. So I'm happy to have our colleagues from Chisinau with us. Let's move to
Górnośląskie,
Katowice,
Zagłębiowskiego
and we have Małgorzata Gutowska,
w Katowicach, która
Metropolitan Public Transport Authority from Silesia, from Katowice. Madam, the floor is yours.
Ta nazwa nasza nie jest łatwa, bo to jest Górnośląsko-Zagłębiowska Metropolia. My
Well, hello everyone.
metropolitalnego.
We are a budgetary unit, a budgetary institution. We have a very long name in Polish. I won't make you repeat this. Well, Grzegorz encouraged us before this panel to share some niceties, some nuances of our work. So let me show you a bit where we are. So starting with sales channels. My pre-speakers spoke about selling tickets, but maybe you're interested in how we sell tickets. What sales channels
Są dane za 8 miesięcy
are in place? I have some data from last year, 8 months
bieżących.
from last year, and then I will compare it to this year's data to show you certain shifts in trends.
Większościowy teoretycznie udział na pierwszy rzut oka
The
wygląda
majority share, if you look at this, is paper tickets. Traditional tickets, almost 34% of the value of all sales.
te poniżej to jest ilość sprzedanych.
The black figure is value,
Są bilety
and this grayish color is for the number of tickets or the share of tickets sold. We have also
tacie
sales divided by machines, kiosks and drivers. During the pandemic, of course, we resigned from selling through drivers. It was for the safety of the drivers and passengers, of course.
Punkty obsługi
We
pasażerów.
have 10 passenger service points
Mamy
in the city. We have
nasz własny system.
an app. This is our original sales system,
Lublin jest
just like Lublin has Lubika, the local app, and Wrocław has implemented one. Warsaw is about to do it, and we are in the middle of the project. So we are in the middle of this transformation.
wspomniał choroby.
As Grzegorz Malec says, some infancy problems, some teething issues are there, which is sometimes painful.
Kartocentryczności, czyli
Well, our system is still based on cards.
miejsc,
We have something like a city card. It's called Silesian Card of Public Services. Silesian because we actually serve 56 municipalities,
porównanie między
the
nami.
whole metropolitan area. So sometimes some people compare us to Warsaw because we are kind of bigger than Warsaw. We have more municipalities, but we have less money.
Ich rozwiązania.
So if you're looking for cheap solutions, I have something to offer, not Warsaw, certainly.
System był
So the card is in the very heart of it. This is an offline system. Data
pozwolił
used to be collected at the end of the day, but now we have started removing paper tickets altogether to be replaced by tickets coded on card.
portal
So access to the passenger zone through an online website. This is what the card can do, among other things.
to tak na,
So this
bo taki
project that
system to pewnie jeszcze,
we are running now,
ale uznaliśmy, że będziemy robić to,
and
nazywamy to sobie śkub półtora, żeby było, że jest
we are taking smaller steps. I would say we are somewhere in the middle of this process. So we are trying to shift to be more card-centric. So the client in the system, their account,
istotne.
regardless of the medium they're using, this is irrelevant. This will be only online system.
Już zaczęliśmy tą
This app has already been piloted.
procesie.
We are, as I said, in the middle of the process. The system is relatively open to modification. The previous system was purchased from one vendor, and we were not able to add anything to it without the vendor's consent. The new system is being designed to be modular, so we will be able to shift, to transform it as we like it, depending on what puzzles we need for this jigsaw. At the end of the day, data will be aggregated. So if the passenger has used the same single ticket, for example, 4 times, and at the end of the day, these 4 tickets seem to be more expensive than daily ticket, the system will recalculate the cost and return the difference back to the passenger's account.
Wyjaśnienia z
Of
urzędu.
course, we have to discuss with our local tax authority how to do it to avoid problems in the future.
Przystankowy,
And as in Lublin, we have this bus stop-based tariff.
czyli nie trzeba przychodzić do
Tickets will also be returnable from the level of the app.
nowoczesne kasowniki. No i oczywiście EPOP, który też już
And e-pop, like in Warsaw, that we have also started.
aplikacją wystartowaliśmy
So we launched the app
w ubiegłym roku.
last year, actually in 2020.
Jak się zmieniały
So have a look at
sprzedaży
certain sales values
rośnie.
in sales via the application. The figure is growing, but, well, I think the app is not as attractive as we originally planned now. But this is
Jeszcze
changing. At this point, the card is still there. Clients need it, but perhaps in November,
wystarczy
we will give it up, so the clients will only have a payment card or a telephone with a similar functionality, and city cards will no longer be in use.
aplikacjach
Sales through mobile apps,
mamy takie poczucie jako organizatorzy, właściciele, że często firmy
for us organizers, companies that sell
rozliczamy się z nimi
this service, they are paid based on sales reports that they provide on a regular basis. So we don't have kind of full control here. So we decided to change it and set up an electronic warehouse or electronic base.
mamy paczki
So
biletów.
we kind of sell packages of tickets to our payment operators. And this grey color here is the period when we relied on what operators proposed, and the yellow is our sales
Po wprowadzeniu e-magazynu,
after introducing this e-database.
że to jest
This is not 100% perfect, but still there is the pandemic aspect to be included here in this chart.
domówienia się, czy
Anyway,
państwo projektować
if you
u siebie coś takiego.
design something similar,
Warto,
pay attention.
czy nie warto się zastanowić,
Maybe this is the right way to have this kind of digital warehouse. We sold about 10 million tickets, 30,000 e-tickets a day. So that's quite a volume to be sealed.
kiedyś współpracę
Well, we started working with Mobilet. Then it was Callpay,
i właśnie
Skycash,
pozwala
and more. So now this digital warehouse, digital database makes this cooperation more transparent, more clear, and both parties feel
z zewnętrznym partnerem
they're making money, but not at somebody else's expense. And working with an external partner
miasta.
is also attractive when someone travels between cities. Well, Lublin has the Lubika app.
Mamy kart, my mamy
Wrocław
i teraz
has Urban Card. We have Scoop. So you see a number of apps if you travel around the country.
operatorów i
Now, if you use one of these external operators, jak dojadę, MPay, then wherever you go, you can buy a ticket with the same operator.
jak wdrożą,
So this is the new ticket validator. We have it in some of our vehicles.
który kiedyś obejmował region Tychów, jeden region
We
centra.
call these Tiskie because these vehicles come from the region of Tychy in Silesia. So
Spróbujemy na tym obszarze.
we started to implement these validators in the Tychy region, and
Uprzejmie powiedzieli, że to są świetne kasowniki, bo
our
wi
IT consultants said they
może
are very modern validators. They support an MTT standard, and you can generate a token. Yeah, of course. I can see your responses, your reactions. This is the way you talk to IT people. So indeed,
kartą płatniczą.
you have a regular debit card, payment card, not necessarily a dedicated public transport card, but you can use any debit card to be your ticket medium. You just
Kontroler
put it close to the validator,
sczytuje.
and the ticket will be displayed there. So
Do widzenia pasażera
from the passenger's perspective, they don't see any difference. There may be some resistance, like you have to put your card close to some unknown device, and you never know what happens.
jak przychodzi kontroler, to zawsze budzi się takie podejrzenie, czy
Especially when you have
czyta, bo on czyta tylko ten.
a ticket collector, and passengers are not sure whether they will be able to tell whether they have a ticket or not.
No, zapłacić można,
Well, you can pay with all possible means. Of course, this is cash substitute, but whether this is Blick, GPay, Apple Pay, we have the whole range of possibilities depending on what passengers need.
Oczywiście okres pandemiczny
During
organizator
the pandemic,
tego, jak porozumiewać się z naszymi pasażerami zdalnie i to już
we had to figure out how to approach passengers online or remotely. So we decided in 2020 to expand our EPOP system so that passengers were able to handle more and more stuff online. Now 2022, some figures from this year up to August. You can see the sales of paper tickets
nie robić zajęć
dropped.
dnia pamięci. Mieliśmy taki slajd porównawczy.
This slide shows you the ultimate figure compared with 2021. Paper tickets dropped.
Z jednej
Sales through external apps
też mamy takie
went up.
że uszczelnienie
So we feel like
zewnętrznych operatorów na to
this was thanks to sealing the system with external partners. The app now is still attached to the card, but in November we will be
że w naszych
removing it step by step.
na długookres
Many people buy monthly tickets.
wystawiliśmy tylko krótkookresowe, jednorazowe bilety.
External partners cannot handle it. They only sell short-term tickets.
Stało przez okres pandemii, czyli
During the pandemic, many kiosks
już
closed. People are no longer attached to this sales channel. We can see negative figures step by step, year by year, and also passenger service points
u kierowców
were not that popular, of course, during the pandemic.
można kupić tylko
That's why we extended EPOP, the EPOP system.
taką specyficzną,
Still, many people like to buy with the driver.
szerzoną, więc mamy różne typy
So there has been a rise here, but even though they are most expensive.
nasz przeżytek, ta nasza karta ŚKUP, która
And our Scoop card is still active. You can log into your
kupujemy sobie bilet.
account, buy the ticket through e-wallet, but this channel, as you can see, is slowly dying out. Minus 5% in value, minus 20% of
To
tickets.
są właśnie kasowniki systemu.
We have also old
Nam się to nie podoba.
ticket validators.
Tu 85
Again,
w których
185 vehicles from the Tychy region. We have new validators. People seem to like it.
już odchodzi.
So there is less and less paper in all sales channels. We are moving on towards being fully digital. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to share
Interesowany.
some details of how our sales system works. Well, I'm open to questions if there are any.
Górnośląsko-Zagłębiowska to wyzwanie jest
Well, this metropolis is really a challenge. In Lublin, we have 7 neighboring municipalities. You have 56. This is really hard to imagine in terms of management, how to handle this. Well, but if you have so many municipalities to negotiate with, you really become a good negotiator.
dyrektor, także
Well, I believe your authority is in good hands, so we will, of course, keep watching your developments. But now we have
panią dyrektor Paulinę
Paulina Tyniec-Piszcz from Wrocław. Wrocław Transport Authority. Tell us about your urban card.
Chodzi o systemy biletowe, to mogę powiedzieć, że nawet
Well,
pierwsi, którzy
I think we were the first
skalę
in Poland to implement e-payment system at such a scale. And this system has been transformed a number of times. I'll tell you about some new functionalities, whether they work or not.
my się
And
regularnie,
in
więc
this team here, we meet on a regular basis. We exchange experience. We speak about problems, risks, challenges. So
myślę, że
I will also explain
szoku dla pasażerów, ale również
What happened to this system? I'll tell you about different anxieties, problems among passengers, like
wręcz
producing payment cards before ticket collectors to prove they have ticket. The first variant of urban card started in 2010. It was the 1st of June, to be precise.
wprowadziliśmy pierwszy system, a od września
In September the same year,
w aktywowaniu systemu Urban Card właściwie przez
we gave up paper monthly tickets. So this was a huge leap in the development of our ticketing system.
pierwotnej wersji
In
działał
its original form, the system operated until the 8th of March 2012.
wrocławska karta miejska.
It was replaced by Wrocław Urban Card. The original system and the new one
Jednym operatorem
were implemented by the same operator, selected in a procurement procedure.
Urban Card
The original system of Urban Card, just a few figures,
stacjonarny
126 fixed machines, ticket machines, 820 mobile ticket machines, so installed in vehicles. This was the greatest leap in terms of quality and quantity.
75 punktów
175 sales points, kiosks, and 2 passenger service points. All these components of the system
usługi były
and services were provided
zewnętrzne.
by an external company, Menica Polska S.A.
Przygotować nowe
So in 2016 we prepared a new procurement
ekspertów.
procedure. We hired external experts, external advisors to help it. They helped with IT and different formalities. The IT component was key to have a safe system, also in terms of personal data.
System Urban Card, wrocławska karta miejska.
So
Ten nowy system
we selected the new operator. The winner was Menica Polska S.A. We are working together now and will continue working together, I think. We have already spoken about this question, whether you have an external partner or do it on your own. That's a big dilemma. In 2017,
Wrocław Amennicą właśnie
Wrocław municipality entered into a contract with Menica Polska
na 8
for the support of the new system. The term of the contract was 8.5 years, and I believe
wspinania się finansowego tych projektów decydowały się na przedłużanie współpracy.
many municipalities having similar contracts extended this cooperation. We also extended this cooperation.
Oczywiście,
There is, of course, commission fee
na które
based on certain macroeconomic data.
również ulega
This commission fee
ale
is growing or grows year to year, and the calculation is relies on the original tariff adopted when entering into the agreement, which is a positive solution
wdrożyć
economically speaking.
chwilkę mowa i miało to miejsce marca.
On the 8th of March 2018, the operator implemented a completely new urban card system. This is where we made it to a new level. So a few words about the new system, new urban card system.
I czasowego i muszę przyznać, że
Proximity bank card became
wykonaliśmy między
ID identifier of a single and time ticket. This system has been in place ever since, and it's the most popular form of selling tickets. I commute every day to work. I can see other people doing it.
z kilku
The passengers just approach one of the devices, one of the validators, and it takes a couple of seconds really to buy a ticket. You can't buy monthly or weekly tickets, but all possible single, including collective tickets.
jest to
This is
system
what you can buy.
na karcie,
And this is an online system.
identyfikator pasażera.
There is an ID, a passenger has an ID in the system, they can pay very quickly. We have a new standard of urban card
Desfire,
in the Desfire tech standard and new forms of payment, all that you mentioned before.
czyli
We are also developing on a regular basis. So whether this is Blik or Google Pay or anything, this is how you can pay for a ticket on board of a bus in Wrocław. We have also the whole spectrum of mobile apps, our city app, Urban Card, but also other apps available in app stores.
całkiem na świeżo, jak dojadę, dotychczas
Jak dojadę application.
operatorem naszego
We have negotiated for some time with them, but they have also joined our project, and you can buy tickets through this channel.
porównanie kluczowe dla nas,
This comparison is relevant, new versus old system, old, the middle column. You can see the difference between now and 2018, 2,000 more validators and ticket machines on the buses, and this is majority of tickets that are sold.
drukować bilet
And also the machines where you were able to print tickets on the bus are no longer there. It was really a problem. It was time-consuming. Passengers were waiting for tickets to be printed. This is no longer the case. We
nie jest ogromna, zresztą sprzedaż
raised the number of fixed ticket machines. This is not a big size in terms of sales. We have more passenger service points.
prowadzone i na bieżąco rozwijane przez
These points are
dystrybutorów.
also run by our system, urban car system distributor, and we have also temporary service points, for example, for students who come for the academic year, and they are very popular users of public transport system. They have semester tickets also at attractive prices, and we have more
Sprzęt był
ticket collector devices. All this equipment has been supplied by the system vendor, system operator. All these, as we say, toys that the operator has provided.
Tu może jeszcze tylko króciutko
Very briefly
z tych urządzeń
about these devices, we have really an excess of these devices.
zdarzenia
So when we buy new vehicles, we have
przy
the validators and ticket machines
i to jest dość
to
komfortowe.
be installed, waiting to be installed in new vehicles. The passenger really has a couple of options to buy the tickets.
Wykorzystujemy ten zapas, który mamy w ramach kontraktu na rozwijanie.
Now still we contracted new devices
Będzie
to develop the system or to expand the system into the metropolitan area of Wrocław, and this is on the way.
standardowe porównanie, w jakich formach
It's a relatively standard comparison, like what tickets in what form you can purchase from on-board
w automatach stacjonarnych
machines and street machines. So as you can see, the most popular form now are ticket machines in vehicles. This is some statistics from the urban card system from 2021, which channels sold, which kinds of tickets. The trends are clearly visible.
2,1, a średnia ich wartość.
We sell 2.2 million tickets
Sytuacja jest nieco.
a month.
Wróciliśmy
11.5 million zlotys worth. Now we sell more tickets than before the pandemic, and it's a couple of percentage points up.
biletu będą wyższe.
We have, of course, bigger revenues, but on the other hand, the cost of operating the transport system are even higher.
Najlepsze. I stały tak naprawdę sukces. Obserwuję.
We continuously see the increase in sales on the cashless channels. This is true for all of us. Here, the signum temporis, they would say. I mean, people going digital and for the simplest and fastest way.
Oczywiście
Of course, we are also growing the share of sales through mobile applications, although I must say, the share of 1.3%, more or less, or 1.92 is nothing spectacular. However, the statistics show that we sell more and more via mobile applications, so we focus on growing this segment. I think that the addition of such apps as Jak Dojadę will also help us in doing so. The largest sales volume is through the onboard or in-vehicle the terminals. This is something we are really satisfied with. People getting on the bus, buying a ticket within seconds, and so on. Although there were some risks and fears at the beginning, a new tool, a new functionality, no one knew how it operated, a completely different mode, than at fixed stores, payment aggregation, some delays in charging the accounts and so on. The aggregated again the payments for single the tickets and so on. So we had some complications or issues in communicating all those technical matters to passengers, to customers, to communicate that the system is actually secure, that we have a professional operator, high quality, the one Menica, the Polska certified the entity, and the winner of number of awards for this solution. There's again the share of share in sales by channel. So again, the onboard the terminals, the highest share to our satisfaction. Again, the fixed or stationary points of sales, keep a share, but it's decreasing year by year. And the paper form is actually nearly non-existent just now. So we have had time to learn lessons from the deployment and development of the system. We continue to develop it, in line with the needs of our passengers. Due to the pandemic, we had to speed up our development work, to speed up the online functionalities, to enable the remote the handling, if only, of complaints. So our starting point was very high, in terms of technological advancement, but we gather our experience, we learn lessons, we respond to the feedback from our the customers, and we actually provide for continuous improvement, including education and communication campaigns, just to keep in contact, just to keep them. To assure them that everything is secure, safe, and quality service. So we are also integrating the system with other systems. For instance, Urban Card is being integrated with the loyalty program, our Wrocław. This is for our taxpayers. This has been successful, I must say, because the Urban Card is the open-end system. I mean, it's fully scalable, and we use this scalability to our benefit. So, just to give you some examples, a number of new functionalities.
Związane z wprowadzeniem nowej taryfy.
New ticketing tariff for the Nasz Wrocław program, loyalty program users. Most of the cities, kind of separate between or distinguish between loyal and ad hoc the users. There are discounts available for periodic the tickets.
Mogą zakupić.
There is active, inactive status in the program. Providing for lower prices for regular users, and this is possible because of the integration of the two systems. The integration, technically speaking, was a very difficult the process. If only for the protection of personal data, really large repositories of the program of personal data for our residents. So this program has been successful in deployment, and I don't have the data available just now, but upon announcement of the new tariff, I mean, from the integrated system, the popularity of that, skyrocketed. I mean, it has increased threefold.
Klienta online.
The online customer service is yet another functionality. It took several steps to complete. First of all, this is about
rozliczanie transakcji opóźnione.
This is about delayed or deferred the payment handling and aggregated payment data handling. We actually decided to provide a functionality for the passengers to verify the track record of transactions. I mean, how many tickets I have bought, how much I have paid for each ticket, and so on. So it's a web-based functionality where passengers can access the data. I mean, the trip to work, from work, terminal I paid at, and so on. So actually, this functionality has dramatically reduced the number of customers visiting the contact points, the customer service points, the number of complaints, and so on. So the feedback is quite promising. Another functionality, another improvement, the passengers can check the history, the ticketing history at onboard terminals. So some sample messages displayed for temporary single the tickets.
Mogą podejść do kasownika i sprawdzić, czy
I witnessed myself, the people using the watches to track down the time lapsed, since the purchase, and this is the new functionality for them to be sure, simply. What's key in terms of security is the hash or token for the cashless payments for the cards. So tokens generated, no personal data involved, and mind you,
albo w izolacji.
During the times of the pandemic, people couldn't simply come to us, in person, to if only to verify, the transactions. So again, we provided the functionalities for verification via the website and via the onboard terminals. Before people had to come personally, and the operators' personnel actually generated the report from the system. Then a passenger could file a complaint. Now all this can be handled online without the need for people to come to us. So this is fully in line with the expectations, with the developments actually that emerged in the times of the pandemic. And these functionalities
znacznie obniżyła się liczba pasażerów, którzy
actually knocked down the numbers of passengers at the stationary customer service the points and the numbers of the complaints. So definitely the complaints that we receive are not based on any doubts, on how many tickets a passenger has bought or, how much has he paid.
nowoczesnych technologii nie można się zatrzymać.
I mean, with new technologies going on, we can't stop and wait. So we need to keep improving. Now the functionality that was missing in the original system, we are putting in place. Now we're just before the employment. That is, the card unlock functionality in the system. That is some authorization rights for the passenger to have, using proximity cards, message displayed. Handling of all the transactions being processed via MasterCard and so on. I won't be going into details by any means. But shortly speaking, there are at least 3 conditions when a passenger or a card can be blacklisted or locked. I mean, there are no funds on the cards, and the verification will be delayed. It may happen that there's no PIN number required, so the kind of pinless the transaction number has been exceeded, and the value of daily transactions has been exceeded. So in such situations, the passenger card is blacklisted or locked. So the system operator, with some intermediaries, sends requests to the banks, for confirmation that there are funds available on the card. But there are cases in the 3 conditions where a passenger is blacklisted. So to be delisted, so to say. So far the passenger had to go in person to the customer service the office, generate the token, and then the availability to buy tickets would be restored. Now it's possible through online onboard the terminals, and this will also, we hope, streamline the complaint the process. I mean, passengers can access their data, can reconfirm the payments on their own. We are intending to grow and develop the urban card system. The biggest challenge now is to extend the system onto the neighboring municipalities in the metropolitan area, so as to unify the card systems between or across all of us. So there's a single system, urban card, as the single instrument, single functionality for people to use. Of course, the challenge will be to arrange the sales, beyond the borders of the city itself. This is about connectivity, internet, the connections, and mind you, there are still some spots, for network coverage. So this will be the biggest the challenge for us, in technical terms. Outside of Wrocław, how to ensure uninterrupted connection. Now we are preparing a pilot program and we'll be developing the system in the first half next year. And we hope that mid next year it will be operational, fully operational at some routes in the Metropolitan area. Thank you very much for your presentation. We have been watching Wrocław for a long time now. When we prepared and developed the Lubica, we took you as a role model for that, and we'll be watching you, in your the rollout of the system, onto the neighboring municipalities. Perhaps we'll be copying your solutions as well. So we have touched on some technology, some novel solutions. Now we would like to have a representative of Germany, Dresden, and we have a good example of cooperation between regions from Germany and Czech Republic. This is really relevant as to this conference. Please. The floor is yours.
Yeah, good morning from Dresden. I learned a lot of the ticket systems and the sales channels in Poland today. So what I would like today now is to take you one step back, what comes before you can sell a ticket, namely establishing a tariff. And I think there's no better opportunity to talk about a cross-border ticket system than on a cross-border congress. So thank you very much for inviting me and giving me the opportunity to talk about the Oberelbe ticket system. I can't see my slides now. Do you steer them or how do we go on?
Chwileczkę, czy jakąś obsługę techniczną tutaj mamy na temat prezentacji? No, musimy sobie poradzić jakoś bez, musimy sobie poradzić...
Unfortunately, I mean, we won't be able to see your presentation, I'm afraid.
Maybe I can share my presentation.
Chwileczkę, czy rozumiem, że widzi pan...
Do you see that?
Jest, już widzimy.
Yes, we can see that. We can see that now.
Perfect. Thank you. So yeah, to make it short, this is one ticket which you can use in two countries with the challenge of two different currencies. Oberelbe, you might have heard about the river before, but you might not be aware of where the VVO and the Duke is. So that's what you can see on the map here. It's the cross-border region of Germany and Czech Republic, and what you can see highlighted here in green is the Dobrava Ustadzkiego Kraje, abbreviated DUK, and in blue the Verkehrsverbund Oberelbe, abbreviated by VVO. The center, the capital of the VVO is the Saxon capital Dresden, and the center of the DUK region is the county capital Ústí-nad Labem. So what connects actually the two regions? Why do we cooperate? So in fact, in the center of this cross-border region are two national parks, namely the so-called Saxon Switzerland or Bohemian Switzerland, respectively. This is a very appealing region for tourists with a lot of rocks and canyons and the Elbe Valley and so on. But more than this, also Dresden attracts a lot of people from northern Bohemia who use the shopping facilities in Dresden, and the Christmas fair and so on. The other way around, it works as well. Also, Germans go to Czech Republic for day trips, for example, for making use of the retailing, of spas, of winter sports, and so on. So there are a lot of reasons to visit the other country. And you can make use of the car, of course, what we do not want to support. So we provide a very good public transport network, which you can see on the map. It's besides the main railway line along the Elbe Valley, another small railway line in dark red. And the special thing about this railway line is that it crosses the border actually twice. So it starts in Děčín in northern Bohemia, goes on to Germany, and then it crosses the border again towards Rumburg. Besides the railway lines, we do have 3 cross-border bus lines, amongst which is the one from Dresden to Teplitz, the longest one and the most important one. And as a speciality, we also have a cross-border river ferry, which you saw on the first slide, which connects the station of Schöna on the German shore with the village of Aschensko on the Czech shore. So you now know that there are a lot of reasons to visit the other country, and there is a good transport network. But what comes before you can make a trip? You need to find the right ticket, and this can be really a challenge, especially when there isn't a cross-border ticket. So before we introduced our system, travelers had to buy several tickets for cross-border trips. So imagine they had to buy a ticket for the tram in Dresden, then a ticket for the international railway line, and perhaps another ticket in Czech Republic for the bus or the trolley bus or something like this. So besides buying several tickets, they had to deal also with different currencies, which made it even more complicated. And before you buy the right ticket, you need to know which use can I make with that ticket. Can I bring a dog? Can I bring my child? And how long is a child? Up till 14 or the age of 18 or whatever. So there were also different tariff conditions, which made it even more complicated. And above that all, there wasn't even one source where you could find out the different tariff conditions. So you had to look up in different booklets, brochures, internet sources, and so on. So you might agree that cross-border trips were not really appealing by that time. The good news is that things can really improve when neighbors talk to each other. So when Czech Republic joined the European Union in May 2004 and the Schengen contract in December 2007, we saw a big improvement in that cross-border trips were much easier. And actually, this ticket system I'm going to introduce soon started already before the Schengen contract came into reality, namely on the 1st of November in 2007. On our side, on the German side, we have this transport association, which I think Marcel Czarnecki is talking about in his presentation soon. We had this transport association already since 1998, but there wasn't a similar organizational structure in Czech Republic up until 2016. So that means we had to deal and to negotiate with all the different transport companies in Czech Republic by that time. So there were different railway companies, there were different regional bus companies, and also the companies for the municipal public transport in the cities. But that work has been done thanks to really eager persuasion work of a consulting company in Dresden, which had an own translator and who physically went from door to door to the transport companies and convinced them to become part of this ticket system for the sake of the customer. When finally in 2016 the Transport Association in the Duk area was founded, it meant another relief for us, because now we have only one contact person, so to say, in Czech Republic, and we renewed this contract. Now we improved the ticket system a bit, but what we kept all the time was the name Elbe-Labe, because this is an identifying and connecting element for both residents of the border. Now I've talked so much about the history of the ticket. Of course, I want to show you also how it looks. So there are 4 different variants of the ticket, but what is common is that it's a day ticket. So it's valid on the day of the purchase or the day of the validating up until the next morning at 4 a.m. We have a day ticket, which is meant for 1 adult, and he can bring up till 2 children to the age of 14. If you are a family, you can buy the family day ticket. It's for 2 adults and up to 4 children. But you don't have to be necessarily a family, in fact. So it can also be two teachers or with pupils or something like this. And thirdly, there's the small group ticket for up to 5 persons, not necessarily adults. So it can be also 4 adults and 1 child or something similar. And that's also a ticket for the bicycle or the dog, respectively. You see in the last 2 columns that there are 2 different prices, 1 in euro and 1 in Czech crowns. And I will explain how we deal with that on the next slide. Because the biggest challenge is how can we solve the problems or the challenges, so to say, with the different purchasing powers between the 2 countries. First, there are 3 corresponding interests for us as the tariff, the responsible persons for the tariff. First, there's the marketability or the price acceptance. We don't want to introduce a ticket for the sake of introducing it. We want also that people make use of it, that they buy it, that they accept the price. So it should not be beyond their purchasing power. On the other side, there's the need that our transport companies gather enough revenues, so they have to work after economic purposes. And thirdly, we have to prevent that we cannibalize our tariff systems. So it should not be the case that people who go to Czech Republic buy the cheaper tickets there and use them later in Germany and cannibalize our VVO tariff. So how did we do that? First of all, the ticket prices are really in line with what people, in line with the value people attach to the tickets in their countries. So that results in the fact that the tickets in Czech crowns amount only to 60% of the tickets in euro. We prevent that people go to Czech Republic and use the tickets in Germany later by the fact that the tickets which are sold in Czech Republic are immediately valid. So you cannot take them and validate them another day. So we prevent, in fact, this migration of tickets. And that works, in fact, which I can show you on the next slide. I brought some sales figures for the day ticket and the family day ticket. So you can see that our best year for the day ticket apparently was in 2015 with almost 19,000 ticket sales. And you might wonder what the drop in 2018 means. This was the year when we introduced the family day ticket. You can see that on the right side. Up until then, there wasn't a family day ticket. And if you count it together, you might still wonder, well, those are not the numbers from 2017. But you might bear in mind that a family day ticket is used at least by 2 adults. So we found something which made traveling with your family cross-border more attractive than before. 2020, 21, 22, you can see the COVID effect. I think this doesn't surprise you. You might see that also in your country. But we are on a good way. So the figures from 2022 are only up until July, I guess. So there are still some promising months, August, September, October, maybe also December, which are missing. And I'm quite convinced that we will reach the former level again in the ticket sales. So I'm now already at the end of my presentation. If you have any questions or hints, that feel free to contact me via email or via phone. I think the presentation should be distributed at the end of the Congress. And so far, thank you for your attention and best regards from Dresden.
Bardzo dziękujemy prelegentowi.
Thank you very much, Oliver.
Dość niespotykane przedsięwzięcie polegające na kooperacji dwóch regionów.
Well, this is really interesting to see two regions cooperating, particularly in two separate countries. This is really impressive. There is a lot to learn from you, perhaps to borrow some ideas.
Sąsiedzi, dziękujemy bardzo. A teraz zapraszam.
So thank you again, and our last speaker, Marcel Czarnecki, Magdeburger Regionalverkehrsverbund. So we continue talking about tariffs, about transport associations in Germany. So Marcel, you have 10 minutes so that we have still some time to sum up.
Zdążyć na czas.
Thank you. I'll try to squeeze into
właśnie integracji taryfowej.
10 minutes. So a few words about tariff integration.
Mam nadzieję, że Państwo widzą też tę moją pracę.
I hope you can see
W Magdeburskim Regionalnym Związku Komunikacyjnym.
I work in Magdeburg, where I deal with tariffs, with tickets, everything related to it. So before we move on to this transport association and a single ticket for all means of transport and the division of revenues, I'll tell you what public transport is like in Germany. It's different than in Poland.
Troszkę o bilecie za 9
I will
euro.
also tell you about a €9 monthly ticket, which has become really popular in Germany and elsewhere.
Wielu przewoźników.
So why a single ticket for different carriers is a good idea? I'll just give you an example.
Chociaż
So
tak
imagine I live in Lublin and I want to get to Kraśnik.
gotowe, nieduże.
Kraśnik, a district city, I need to take a bus or train.
Miastami.
So the connection is fine. There are 54 kilometers away.
Głównie na dworcu kolejowym albo przy dworcu kolejowym i w Kraśniku Mysel to też nie jest dworzec kolejowy.
And I don't live particularly close to a railway station, so I need to use public transport. So how many tickets do I need to get from one place to another? Well, I need 3 tickets. 2 tickets in Lublin, or 1 ticket in Lublin, 1 ticket to Kraśnik, and 1 more in Kraśnik. If I'm, for example, late and I don't catch my bus, I need to buy another ticket. Is there any other way to resolve it?
Się robi inaczej, musi...
So, how to do it? Well, I'll show you. Let's move 1,000 kilometers west to Magdeburg.
To jest taki inny przykład. To jest
So, yet another example.
związkowego.
Magdeburg
30
is the capital of the land, 236,000 people. It's smaller than Lublin.
do Bernburg.
So if you want to reach Bernburg from Magdeburg, Bernburg is a smaller city, a bit like Kraśnik near Lublin.
I też nie mieszkamy na dworcu.
So again, we don't live close to a bus station or coach station or railway station. We need to, how many tickets do we need? Well, we need 1.
Marego, w którym ja pracuję. I teraz przedstawię, jak to jest zorganizowane.
And again, I'll tell you how it is possible.
O tym powiemy, tak jak mówiłem na wstępie, musimy powiedzieć.
First, just a few words about public transport in Germany and what is this collective transport. I'll keep using public transport, collective transport, but each time I mean public regional transport, which is very precisely defined.
Pasażer
These are
w ruchu miejskim pod
passengers,
kilometrów
carriers carrying passengers within 50 kilometers within 1 hour.
200-300 kilometrów. Ciągi.
Of course, there are trains that, regional trains that travel even up to 200 or more kilometers, but most passengers basically travel within 1 hour, within 50 kilometers, according to this definition.
I pociągi podmiejskie.
So what do we have? We have regional trains, local trains, buses, but sometimes also ferries.
Strukturę
Let's have a look at the organizational structure, how it is organized and connected financially. You can see this ladder here on the left. Federal authorities, they're not responsible for public transport in Germany, but they make laws and support transport financially.
w pierwszej kolejności kraje związkowe.
So the lands, German lands, 16 German lands, they are responsible for organizing public transport. They have their own laws. So in other words, we have 16 different legal systems regulating public transport in Germany. And they also they're in charge of passenger railway transport in their areas and support these means of transport financially. And at the bottom of the ladder, we have cities and districts.
Wydają w pierwszej kolejności.
They are the first to be responsible for all road transport, including tramways, buses. Sometimes they have their own carriers. They select private carriers through procurement, and they have the hardest role to play because if they are
No niestety, ale mam 5 milionów.
If they're in the red, like if the local carrier comes and says, I have €5 million of deficit, the city has to set it off somehow, has to balance it. So, speaking about costs of public transport, in Germany, it's different than in Poland in terms of revenues from tickets. So, for example, of course, students have discounts. This discount is paid by the region. So I believe up to 80% of all costs can be covered by revenues from tickets, which is quite a good figure compared to Warsaw, for example. Still, 20 up to 30% of spendings are not covered. Someone must pay it.
Teraz już z tą wiedzą możemy przejść do tego, czym jest związek.
So, what is this transport association?
Bo nie ma jednej definicji.
Well, there are three forms of organization. One form is a union of carriers, then we have a union of public transport organizers, and three, it's a mixture of carriers and transport organizers. There are 75 transportation associations in Germany, although I think nobody knows how many. And mind you, there are 16 lands in Germany. So the idea is to have one shared tariff for transport within the region, the same information policy and agreed timetables.
Modal speed, to znaczy, że chcemy, żeby więcej
The point is to carry as many people as possible
transportu
so that they
roweru.
give up a car or bicycle. And another goal is to raise revenues.
Dlaczego? Dlatego, że zawsze te koszty są wyższe niż przychody.
Of course, we talk about revenues and costs. So, mind you, the actual income is what is left. Most carriers in Germany are limited companies.
Która odpowiada za takie ogólne ramy finansowania, ale też funkcjonowania tej konkretnej spółki. Sercem Związku Komunikacyjnego
And the association has its own council, its own office that prepares different analysis, designs sales policies, and also issues resolutions. For example, to raise price tickets,
przychodów z biletów,
or how to distribute income from the sales of tickets, and or how to communicate with the public.
jeden bilet na wielu.
So now, one ticket, many carriers. How does it work? Well, actually, it's not one ticket. We have a couple of types of tickets. I have 4 here. One is single,
I bilety abonament
daily, for several days, weekly, monthly, and
abonamentowe są.
subscription systems.
tam gdzie ja pracuję,
In Magdeburg, where I work, 84% of passengers have some kind of long-term ticket.
działa podobnie jak
What about subscription tickets? It's a bit like with subscribing a telephone service. Every month,
bilet.
the carrier
Normalnym jest tańszy.
charges a specific amount,
Zwyczaj jest tak, że są przynajmniej
and
bilety
there are two types of such tickets.
tańsze.
The basic, cheapest ticket, and the second type is premium, as we put it,
Tylko przewóz.
where besides carrying a single person, there are some extras, like, for example, free transport on weekends,
Za darmo.
or even inviting someone else to travel with you for free, or to have a bicycle coming with you for free.
W danym wyszczególnieniu
And this is what you get for the premium version of the ticket.
było mówione o komunikacji, rozwiązań technicznych, ale też jest pewien problem z komunikacją
Another thing is
tych związków, tej akceptacji jednak
how to communicate this system, because, well, it's apparently easy to say there's one ticket for all carriers. It seems simple on the face of it, but based on our studies, we can see that 64% of the surveyed
byłoby więcej niż jedno.
would buy more than one ticket to travel and change on the way. So we can see this acceptance level is not that high.
Dobrze.
And, you know, buying more tickets isn't in our interest. Buying one ticket is in our interest.
10 euro i
And people
publiczny jest za
also buying many tickets, of course, they have to pay more. So they will be more willing to say, public transport is expensive, so we don't use public transport, which is wrong, of course, wrong approach. So we call this a tariff jungle. We have, besides associations, we have tariffs of different carriers and national tariffs.
Niemcy dojeżdżają.
So where does it come from? Well, it's perhaps a specific model of commuting in Germany. 22% of working Germans travel more than 25 kilometers to work and then back.
Jeżeli mają tak,
So if they have this distance to cover, it means
opuszczają obszar swojego związku komunikacyjnego.
they leave the area covered by the Public Transport Association. So they need to buy perhaps at least 3 different tickets
Nie jak to lub
to reach their place of work, like it was the case with the example of Lublin I gave.
taryfy krajowe, więc na terenie
So there are also land tariffs. So all some German lands have the same tariff for all carriers. So if somebody drives, somebody needs to go 20, 25, 28 kilometers, they may sometimes land in a different area, different region.
rodzaju biletów
So they will have to buy even more tickets. So
problem.
the resolution here is not simple. That's why some people call it a tariff jungle. So there is sometimes a bit of a chaos with tariffs if you have to travel across specific lands in Germany.
Toru transportu publicznego. Pierwszym elementem jest sprzedaż.
So, of course, let's talk about sales.
Tutaj
And speaking about commissions and revenues from sales of tickets.
mamy tą sprzedaż, no to na koniec miesiąca
Now, every carrier sells tickets,
sprzedali bilety.
and every month they report to the Transport Association how much revenue they have earned. So there are different ticket groups. Within one group, there is a key in distribution of the revenues. So in this example, for example, carrier number 1, 17% of share received from all sold tickets. So if they have sold tickets for 1 million euro, they will get about 80,000 euro back. Some carriers sell tickets on their own. So as a result, they get about 20% of share. And with this one, with the revenue of 500,000, they get back only 200,000. So they need to invest 300,000 before getting the difference. But this is for carriers who sell tickets for other routes, for other services.
każdego sprzedanego biletu.
And there are different solutions also, the way they can earn money. They can charge, for example, 6% on top of the price of regular tickets with other carriers.
Dlatego, że nie mówię 20
Now, going back to clearing, as we call it,
sprawę, ten cały podział. Tu się muszę przyznać, że
here I have to tell you,
to nie wymyślamy sobie procentów, tylko mamy już pewne podstawy.
we don't basically use percentage terms to clear it. We just look at how many kilometers each carrier covered, what's the share of each carrier in timetables. So these are vehicle kilometers, then we have passenger kilometers. We have also research, market research, so we talk to passengers, what ticket they have used, what ticket they have at the moment of being surveyed.
Więcej niż 10%.
And of course,
Jeżeli on przekroczy 10%, no to też prosto.
if this amount, total amount, is more than 10% of the amount to be distributed, this is feedback
Inne metody, które dają podobne jakości.
for us to perhaps use another method that might be cheaper to achieve the same effect. Usually we have a mixture of different approaches, different methods, just to square even. And finally, special tickets. The €9 ticket was introduced from June to August 2022 with 2.5 billion of euro of funding. 52 million tickets were sold, 20% more new users. 100 million travels by car fewer, and plus 15% of more travels. So from the macro level,
W tym okresie tego biletu została zredukowana dzięki temu
we can see that
to wtedy było chyba 6-7% inflacji, 2 punkty procentowe to całkiem.
we can see that 2 percentage points, it was the amount that the inflation stopped going up because of this variant. So there is a debate now going on in the country whether this could be a way to target inflation.
Żeby nie trzeba było mieć 75 biletów.
Well, the point is, if we have 75 transport associations, there's no way to have 75 different tickets. That's why they work on the same tariff. So this €9 ticket, which is relatively low price, how this price works on our national public transport, this is still being measured, being debated.
Wcale udział transportu publicznego w nim nie wzrósł.
Basically, the share of public transport hasn't risen statistically, and in two smaller German cities,
W kilku latach musiała być zlikwidowana, dlatego że
they introduced free public transport, but the costs were so high that after 2 years they gave up this project
to można dobrze oszacować
because, costs can be estimated relatively well at the beginning.
pasażerzy, tak? Bo wiemy już ile ich mamy.
Because we know how many passengers we have. It's usually the same people using public transport, but later new passengers join. We have pedestrians, bikers, but also former car drivers. So we need more vehicles, we need more drivers. It costs more. The budget cannot swell anymore, so we cannot afford it anymore. So free public transport doesn't work sometimes. Now, a few words, a summary. Transportation associations are a good solution. For example, we have this example from Silesia, from Katowice in Poland. And speaking about weaknesses, opportunities from our German perspective,
Dla uczestników więcej
opportunities, more passengers, higher revenues from tickets, and fewer tasks to complete because carriers can share certain tasks or they can delegate certain tasks to the association office. And if out of 5 tariffs we make one, then someone must lose something. So before we get more passengers, before we start selling more, someone must lose, someone must pay the difference. We also
decydować, ile kosztuje.
Some carriers before decided on their own how much the ticket was on a bus. Now they can't do it anymore. This is decided at a different level.
Problem, że biuro
And also the Public Transport Association office will be very happy to help carriers, but they also generate certain costs. So this profit and loss account looks even better for the association because we have single costs, we have single timetable information, passengers feel more secure about travel, and basically the region becomes more attractive to reach by passengers, and in the long-term perspective, perhaps more people will decide to stay in the region because of this comfortable and flexible tariff system. They don't use private cars. They can get everywhere with the single tickets. The threats, the risks are that we have several carriers and we introduce one tariff. It means there is no competition. In other words, we cannot say that I go 1 hour earlier to save some money. You have the same price ticket, regardless of the time, regardless of which carrier you choose.
Ale myślę, że to jest temat na troszkę inną dyskusję.
So this is perhaps a topic to discuss at a different occasion. So that's all from my part. I hope we'll have time for some discussion, and of course I'll be happy to take some questions.
Wór doświadczeń, jeżeli chodzi
Thank you very much. A lot of experience and expertise with the transport associations. This is something that we are missing in Poland. We are 2 or 3 steps ahead of Poland as Germany. So a lot of work to do, a lot of room of improvement, for the provincial district transport organizers will be tapping into this experience. So thank you very much for this presentation. Thank you very much to all of you for your presentations.
pytań.
We are running out of time, so I won't be able to ask all the questions that I have prepared. We still have 10 or 15 minutes. So
panelistów 2-3 minuty.
And I would like to ask you now for some 2 or 3 minutes wrap-up of this discussion in the context of your presentations, all the novel technical solutions, environmentally friendly, the systems, must be based on some objectives or some strategies. I mean, there are reasons for us to act this way and not the other. We heard about the tourist attractiveness of the region as the underlying cause or reason for organizing interregional system. So please give me your summaries, including a few words on the future of the public transport systems and scenarios for the future in the era of climate crisis, the wartime, and so on. Why are you betting on the business segment for that, and so on?
Które planujemy w zakresie transportu publicznego
So as for the Warsaw and its public transport system, it's based on the strategic document, the 2020-2030. It covers all the policies of the city, friendly to the environment, friendly to the citizens, friendly to inhabitants, and the public transport is one of the tools to transform the city. As for the challenges, there are technology, challenges. As we are, a capital city, we still have a long way to go compared to what our colleagues in other cities have achieved. We need to ensure that technological development is fully reflected in our public transport system. Małgorzata said that we have more resources, more funding for public transport. Well, it's not necessarily the case, and we need to phase our development, our growth. We need to accompany our business activities with educational and communication campaigns addressed to residents. We need to encourage people to use public transport and so on. So we also need to grow the infrastructure, like bus lanes, the power lines for the tramways, and so all these are described in the growth strategy of the city. The question is, of course, can we afford this? In the era of the economic and energy crisis, a lot of challenges ahead of us. In Warsaw, more than 50% of all vehicles is electricity powered. So it's hardly imaginable that we could, abandon this to provide for, the motor vehicles, and let alone climate protection matters just now with. In operational terms, I mean, the need to actually move people around the city. Without that, without these electricity-powered vehicles, we wouldn't be able to do so. Now, as to the coverage of the expenses from the sales of tickets, there are no subsidies to public transport in Poland, so it's individual solutions that different cities put in place. Mind you, these subsidies or reliefs are actually paid by the local government budgets. There's no support from the central government in this difficult time. Let's hope we'll get some in the times of the energy crisis. Now, Mrs. Gutowska, you must be basing your activities on some objectives, on some strategies as well. Well, we want to keep generating the income from handling our the transport system. There are the 45 municipalities that we serve in our metropolis. So the main objective is to provide a single, transport area, user-friendly area. So of course, the challenge is in funding. We are looking and analyzing them, into the singular budgets of the municipalities, and in times of crisis, these budgets actually suffer. So we see the problems that are just becoming apparent, due to the energy crisis. And mind you, we also have electricity-powered trolley buses in our metropolis. So on the one hand, we would like to have a fully environmentally friendly the transport system, but we need to analyze and balance this against the economic the considerations. Thank you very much. Now, Paulina, the Tyniec-Piszcz, you mentioned, the ticket terminals, as a philosophy of operation. It has proved successful. Yes, it has. After the first difficult time, and making people aware of the system, of the functionalities. We are in for developing this functionality. So, of course, the overall city strategy is the document that sets objectives for us. But the main challenge I would like to mention now is the integration of the systems, with all the neighboring municipalities. The municipalities are actually quite hopeful of that. And they would like to see a full unification in the future, not only in terms of the transport system in the first ring, in the second ring, and so on, but also in other the areas like the central funding the mechanisms. So there's Metropolitan Arrangement Act as national legislation that is coming may be promising. For the time being, we are doing what we can, but the ultimate objective, the ultimate goal is the full unification with neighboring the municipalities. It's not an administrative boundaries or borders that count. We would like to see the whole network, unified network of buses, the tramways, built and connecting, all these places around the city, just to minimize the number of private cars and so on. So the system integration and going smart, going digital is the way forward. Also, in view of our long-term cooperation with the existing operator, I promise that the new solutions will come. Thank you very much. So, the perspective that our friends from Germany proposes seems to be inevitable. Can we have just a few words of a wrap-up of your concept, international, interregional? How does it work? I mean, any challenges for the future on your part?
Well, if I may start to answer the question, then I have to admit that it's hard to pursue a certain concept in these times. Marcel Czarnecki told you that the federal government is proposing a ticket for 29, 49 or 69 euro. The price is not set yet, which you can use all over Germany. And I see the chances for the public transport by this ticket, for the use of public transport. Marcel Czarnecki showed you how the trips increased during summer, and the aim is clearly something I support, but I see the threat of this ticket in terms of securing the funding and the sufficient financing of our transport offer that we have today. And this in times of increasing prices for fuel and for energy, and in times of lack of stuff. So we have a lot of challenges at the moment, and we have to find new strategies, and we are at the moment about to find our way new. That's it.
Bardzo, bardzo dziękujemy za...
Thank you very much for your summary. We are supporting you, and we are will be watching you closely. How do you go into the future? Now, Marcel, how do you see your organizational the structure? Higher than just the city or the municipality?
po prostu
The €9 ticket is the best example that the regions, the cities, the districts will struggle with all the challenges that they mentioned. Centralization means hollowing out of the smaller the actors. Lessen the impact of the individual the operators. Although overall I support the very idea, and we are looking for new solutions as we heard from Dresden. One of the solutions is to combine a tariff to cover all means of transport, all mode of transport. This is a solution perhaps similar to what you have in your cities, like an urban card, but covering the entire regions. So we need to we need to find our ways forward. What we have so far is not enough. The funding will be a challenge for sure. In Germany, now we are actually struggling. We are fighting to keep the existing transport connection networks. And mind you, if we have a good transport offering to give to the citizens and in a uniform offer across villages, the cities, small towns, and so on. If we can succeed in that, it will be a success of all of us. Thank you very much for your summaries. The energy crisis now make our times very difficult for public transport. The funding is the top priority for us, and we'll have to handle this somehow. Thank you very much. It's not the end of the conference. Thank you very much for the attending. Now there's a Q&A session that we are going to have. Any questions from the audience then to our speakers, to our experts? No questions. So thank you very much for your contribution. Sorry for the delay. We are going to have 15-minute break, and let's meet again in this room for the Lubica workshop. At 2:30 p.m. We will have a study visit at the Lublin Transport Depot. Thank you very much for your attention.